Hello. Okay, so my husband has been telling me for several months that I need to start a YouTube channel. And I've been telling him I don't think anybody's going to watch a YouTube channel about all this craziness that we do out here in the barn, which is where I'm at right now in our little barn. Recently on my Okie Ag Mom Facebook page, I had a post that just kind of blew up talking about our youngest and her doing judging competitions and missing school. And I guess that really resonated with a lot of people. I was kind of surprised that it blew up the way it did, but he is using that as proof to me that people are interested in this. And so I told him, okay, but that's me writing, not me talking. And I feel like writing has always kind of been my forte, but I'm going to give this a shot and we'll see if anybody is actually interested in watching this stuff. So we're gonna see if I'm right or if he's right. But anyway, so we are just a little family from Oklahoma. I talk a lot on my blog about the fact that I did not grow up around all this stuff. This cattle showing, livestock, farming, ranching, none of that was in my world growing up. So my husband and I grew up together in the same little small town here in Oklahoma, and I probably couldn't see us having dated during our growing up years in high school or anything. We're probably one of the most unlikely couples at this point in the game. So when people who know us back then first saw us dating, they were probably like, what in the world? So like we had our school ag barn, and I knew it was there. I knew it smelled really bad, and I knew animals were in it, but I had no idea like what was actually happening with the animals. I mean, I knew about like, you know, my dad is a hunter. I knew, how all it worked, and I just assumed like it was some kind of situation where the kids raised the animals and then ate them. I had no idea that like they were showing them or doing anything else. No, I had no clue. I had no clue what was actually happening with all of that business. And so my husband and I got married, and I already had two kids when he and I got married. My oldest was actually 5 when we started dating and 7 when we got married. And she was like the prissiest girl you've ever met in your life. So after my husband and I got married and he and his dad started talking about her showing a heifer, I was like, okay, let's see how this goes. I was skeptical. I did not think that she was going to really want to have anything to do with that. And let's be honest, I didn't really want to have anything to do with that. So we were living at the time. So like here we have about 2 acres that we live on. And then my brother-in-law has a kind of an L around our land, a 5-acre L that we have, a few cattle on. Like, though we used to live out on their family farm, which is, there's 90 acres out there, and that's where we started out. They had a little trailer out there, and that's where we lived when we first got married. And so we're talking about it one day, and my husband said, yeah, Dad and I are going to go to this sale to see if we can find a show calf for Sis. That's what we've always called our oldest daughter, Sis. And I said, we have to buy a calf? And I'm like looking out at the pasture that we're living at, like there are like all kinds of cattle out here. Like, what are you talking about? And he just laughed at me. He said, those aren't show cattle. And I was like, okay, I just did not understand. I did not understand why we needed to go buy different cattle to show other than what we already had in the pasture. I was like, okay. So that's how we started this whole showing adventure. Listen, I'm gonna just be honest with you. I mean, he had to explain to me the difference between a cow and well, I knew what a bull, like, I knew a bull was a boy cow, which is the craziest thing. That's not the correct way to say that. It's not a boy cow, it's a boy bovine, a male bovine. But I had no idea what a steer was or a heifer, like none of that. He had to explain all of it to me. And then I was just so confused as to why we were buying a show calf, and the show calf had to stay in a different spot from where the rest of the cattle were, and it was just so weird to me. And then the first time we blow dried one of those suckers with the blower, I was like, is this for real? Are we really actually washing and blow drying a calf right now? This is crazy. I'm gonna be honest with you, I sort of hated it a little bit for the first few years because I didn't get it. I didn't understand. And shockingly, my oldest prissy girly girl daughter loved it. She loved showing. So it took me a few years. It took me a few years to get on board. And we would go to shows and the judge would talk about, talk the cattle. And I would sit there and listen and be like, what? I remember asking my husband, like, what are hooks and pins? I don't understand. Like, it was like listening to a different language when he would talk the cattle. And I'd just be like, what did any of that mean? I don't understand. Like I was in this situation where I think that one's pretty because its markings are so cute, yeah, that was me. So I didn't get it. It felt like a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of ridiculous, like paying someone to clip the calf was like, this is more expensive than my haircuts. Like, I don't spend this much money on my own hair. Like, what are we doing? And the equipment that we had to buy and haul around. Of course, when we started out, we had a steel stock trailer, an old steel stock trailer. We still have it. We had some hand-me-down steel grooming chutes that we hauled around with us. And those are still in our show barn. They're pretty handy. They're almost like head chutes. They're so heavy. So that's kind of how we use them now. If we're having to clip heads or, do something, give shots or whatever, they can go the steel grooming chutes. But we hauled those suckers around crazy. And we got, after her first year of showing, first or second year, we bought a show box, and it was the big, like, bench style show box. And so here we are, like, lugging all this big heavy equipment around to shows, and we didn't go to that many shows really even in the beginning. And I was just like, this is some dumb crap that we're doing right now. I could not get on board with it. And it's just too much, and I just didn't love it. I didn't love it at all. Like, everything smelled bad, and it was just not how I envisioned my life. Like, I pictured myself being a dance mom and soccer mom, and I grew up in a sports family, so we always were at baseball, soccer games, basketball games, and so that was what I envisioned my life as a parent to be, and I never in a million years dreamed that my life as a parent would be spent in a barn, in our barn, in the barns at shows, washing cattle. Anyway, I never envisioned my life being what it is. But here's the deal. I love it now. I mean, I've finished raising, if you want to call it that, because can we talk about adult children? Whole other chapter. But got to adulthood. We've gotten them to adulthood. We're not finished raising them. 2 of our children, and they've been raised in this, and I can get super emotional about it now. Like, I hope I don't tear up right now. I was talking about the fact that this is everything. This has been the greatest thing we've ever done for. See, look at me. It's so dumb. Like, I went from this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen, why are we doing this, to I'm tearing up because our kids are so close. Our whole family's so close. And I know it's because of this thing that we've been doing for how many years now? Goodness. Let me do some math in my head right now. About 14, going on 15 years now. My kids are freaking amazing. And I say that wholeheartedly knowing I'm not just talking about my specific children, but these ag kids, y'all, they're outrageous. They are wild. They are like, you don't even understand if you're not in it. They're amazing. They're so responsible. They're so like, I don't know, the level of responsibility that they understand and can deal with. When I look back at being a kid, I think I can remember like my brother and sister and I arguing over who was going to feed the family dog. Like, I fed him last night, it's your turn. And my kids are like up in the morning in the wintertime busting ice, and like every day of their lives taking care of these livestock. And never in my life, in my adult life of raising these kids in barns, have I heard them say, I fed yesterday, it's your turn. Like, no, absolutely not. You don't hear that out of them. These ag kids are the coolest. And so, like, over the years, I see this, like, holy moly, this is an amazing, amazing industry to bring your kids up in. And I look at not only my kids, but all the kids around us. And I mean, I'm telling you, my son graduated last year. A kid that he's shown with most of his life is graduating this year. And I'm not kidding when I tell you I'm like out there tearing up over this kid that's not even mine, just because I watched him grow up. I've watched him, in these barns his whole life, and knowing he's, graduating and just seeing what he's accomplished. And it's just like this big emotional thing for me now. I'm a big ball of emotions anyway. When it comes to kids, I love kids. So you'll get to know that pretty quickly. But I do love kids. Kids are my passion. That's what I do for a living. It's been my whole career. But then, like, being involved in agriculture and FFA and 4-H and getting to be around these specific kids, oh wow, they're amazing. And I'm just incredibly passionate about this whole industry, what it does for families, what it does for children, the things that they've learned that have prepared them for life, like real life outside of school, outside of this little town, is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. So I'm incredibly passionate about it. That's why my husband's pushing me to do this YouTube channel, so that I can talk about some of the different things that maybe incorporate all of my passions, which are children and agriculture and parenting. Listen, I am no parenting guru by any means, but I do have a lot of knowledge just based on the training that I've gotten in my career, and I would love to impart some of that. So anyway, that's a little bit about us. I am the ag mom who didn't want to be an ag mom, but here I am, and now I'm in it 100%. And so my husband and I we got married in 2007, grew up together in the same school, and kind of found each other after high school and after I'd been through my divorce and just some yucky stuff in my early 20s. And so here comes this big old cattle guy to swoop in and take on me and my two kids and move us out to the country and turn us into cattle people. He accomplished that for sure. Not how I envisioned my life, but I could not be more happy that God had a different plan than I did. This isn't just, and I think that's, if you're not in this industry, the thing to understand is, like, this isn't just something we do. This is who we are. This is our life. This is something that my husband's family's been involved in outside of just the show realm of it. They raise cattle. It's something he's been doing his whole entire life. It's tradition. It's just in the fabric of their family and who they are, and now who I am too, because I married into it. And I'm really glad that I did. All right. So maybe next time we'll do a little tour of the show barn, and some of you who show are not going to be super interested in that, but maybe some of you who don't live in this world will like to see what happens in there and how we have that all set up. So it's just a real makeshift situation that we've done on our own. There's nothing spectacular about it, but it definitely works for us, and we feel pretty blessed to have the space that we have here, to be able to do what we do. So anyway, all right, well, I guess we'll see how this goes, and I'll see you guys next time I get on here.